Very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's uLaw webinar. The topic for today's webinar is Unlock the Power of Going Solo, or Solo Power, with the essence talking about the benefits, the advantages, the disadvantages of being an entrepreneur, a self-started business owner in the legal industry, whether you're a paralegal or a lawyer. Highlight the pathway to being an entrepreneur if you're currently working at a firm as an employee, and really focus upon the resources that hopefully you can take away. That's the big takeaway from today's webinar. The important resources in terms of tools, tips, and techniques that can help you as a solo practitioner or a growing legal firm in terms of how best you can manage your firm within the limited time that you have and stay content, but at the same time be profitable as you have full control over your practice, right from client intake to your compliance documents. But today's webinar is not accredited for any CPD credits, as previously mentioned on our website and through our email as well. But it's certainly going to be a quick and fast presentation slide, and time permitting, walking you through a little bit about the uLaw product later on to give you an understanding as exactly as what we spoke. And we do have our CPD credits that have been accredited for professionalism CPD credits in our YouTube channel. So if you go to youtube.com and uLawPractice, you'll be more than happy to see there's quite a few CPD sessions that we have conducted in the past. In fact, our webinar next week is a CPD for professionalism credits as well. Okay. If you have any feedback, questions, any comments to make, please do use the chat window at all times. And both myself and my support staff will be happy to answer those. Like every other uLaw webinar, today's webinar has the specific agenda. We want to talk about the top 2 or 3 questions of if you're looking to be an entrepreneur, defining who's an entrepreneur. If you're looking to be an entrepreneur, giving you the reasons as to why you should be an entrepreneur. If you are an entrepreneur already, hopefully this is a validation if you've fit the bill, or maybe there's a certain way that you have aligned yourself to be a very successful solo practitioner entrepreneur in this legal business. Most certainly talk about the risks and rewards of being an entrepreneur, whether it's a student who's just graduated looking for an opportunity, looking to understand what her or his opportunities are, being an entrepreneur, solo practitioner, business owner, or someone who's employed and is looking for either a transition or other opportunities to explore, something to think about. These are some of the slides, hopefully, that give you a little bit more insight. Some of the important initial steps that you, as a budding entrepreneur, would need to take, including setting up your business, understanding the structure, how you best formulate that structure of business ownership, if this is going to be a single ownership, if this is going to be multiple individuals involved with your own share of ownership. These become important questions to be asked prior into diving into that world of being an entrepreneur, especially in the legal industry. And with time being the essence, and as we can all agree, there's so much less time, there's so many more things to be done as an entrepreneur, as well as a business owner, regardless. There are so many tasks that are always running in our minds that need to be checked off. We explore some of the tools and tips that you may take home or explore yourself that can help hopefully automate some of these tasks, if not all, so that can lessen or reduce the amount of time that you may otherwise spend today in doing it manually. Now, in most of these webinars, we often look for wiki definitions or a certain word that we always take as the subject of choice. So when we looked at, in a very broad term, who is an entrepreneur, of course, this is a European term, a French term that's been converted, and everyone's starting to use this word. It's become a very common term, at least in the past few years. But we want to really broadly define as an entrepreneur as an individual who runs or creates a business, and preferably and most often someone who runs this business as well. You have serial entrepreneurs, which is an extension of that definition of that word, who may have multiple such businesses running. You may have not all the time 100% of your effort put into running the businesses, but you certainly do have a certain share of overseeing and running the business. Of course, you may have help with your day-to-day tasks. But bottom line, someone who creates and runs a business for life. Okay? And as an entrepreneur, if you haven't already looked at the TED Talks and the numerous YouTube videos or series of videos that are available in the World Wide Web, some of the things that an entrepreneur's characteristics align with as part of that ownership include the appetite for taking risks, because of course starting any business involves risks. But someone who's able to appreciate the risk reward and is willing to learn, execute, and grow as part of that journey of being that entrepreneur. And the risk, of course, is the worst case scenario, as we always call it, is the chance of unfortunately losing everything that you've built. But despite appreciating and understanding that, entrepreneurs continue, as I mentioned, thrive, continue to be persistent, resilient, and find new ways to excel and keep their heads high in this very competitive, time-consuming, risky world of being a business owner or an entrepreneur. Or as an employee, a legal business, I'm sure again I'm preaching to the choir here, but whether it's outside of the legal business or within that legal business, if you're an employee, there are certain risks and rewards of the role that you play as well. Depending on your own situation, you may have a certain time-based job, and if you're happy and content with that certain role that you play within that firm. But if you are the character who needs your voices to be heard, if you need your independence, if there's a certain characteristic that you individually bring to how you execute your files and your interest, then often we find those individuals take the risk of stepping forward, of creating a business for themselves. And there are many different routes that you could possibly take before you get to being an entrepreneur. And we all have our own stories to tell and through the journey of becoming one. Starting with, of course, you may have started off at a firm, understood really as an apprentice or someone who's worked as an associate in that firm, understood really the lay of the land, how certain things get done, build a certain Rolodex, build a certain level of confidence, and now with the certain years of experience in doing what you do and excelling in what you do, you now take a certain calculated risk of getting into being an entrepreneur. Some individuals, for them, it pretty much necessity really becomes the mother of all inventions, and then necessity pretty much drives them to become an entrepreneur because maybe they don't have other choices to explore. Whatever the path you've chosen to take or life has entrusted on you to become that entrepreneur, our hope is that you've embraced it, you've looked at the risk and reward, or you're continuing to look at the risks and rewards and making an educated judgment of wanting to continue to be one, or quickly understanding the risks and rewards and making an educated judgment if you do not want to be an entrepreneur. Because you don't want to be an entrepreneur or running your own business, continuing to not be happy being one. Or maybe it's not something that you're natural at. Or maybe you don't have the right help, and that's adding to the pressure of delivering some of the goods that you're meant to deliver as a legal professional. And again, we talk about if there are so many risks to this whole equation, why choose to be one? Here at uLaw, about 11, 12 years back, many of us who joined forces to start the organization or the company had a very similar crossroad opportunity to explore. Is, do we want to be in this entrepreneur pursuit of delivering cost-effective software in this growing and competitive marketplace? But there are a few synergies that aligned. One is that we all wanted to make and create a path for ourselves. Pretty much when you own your business, you certainly have this amazing happiness of kind of being your own boss in a way. Of course, with greater power comes greater responsibility, but certainly it's an amazing feeling to be your own boss, right? So that was one of the things that drove us to start the company, and I'm sure with many entrepreneurs, it is certainly a drive that helps them at least make that initial first step. Because I really want to be an entrepreneur because I want to run this making my own rules. Okay. Enjoying what you do. So if you really enjoy what you do for life, then it doesn't seem like a strenuous job. This is something that you've heard time and again, people talking about in TED Talks and protocol quotes, and it is very much true. If you have found your passion and you're able to convert that into a business, there are certain aspects of running the business that you need to learn if you already don't have the acumen for it. It's something that can be learned, by the way. And once you learn the tools, the tips, the techniques, and the lay of the land of how you can run these businesses, then eventually the inner passion to be a legal practitioner rises above all of those underlying factors that need you to be successful. So the goal of doing these webinars and a series of such webinars is to continue to educate you so that you can continue to learn those tips, techniques, tricks of the trade, if you will, and explore at your own time the options that you have that can help you in elevating from being stuck at the operational level, have tools, techniques, and processes, manage those, rising above the operational and being more strategic and tactical and utilizing your skill sets that you have been educated for rise above those operational hurdles that we all have in running our businesses, right? So really, beyond everything else, do you really enjoy what you do, and can you convert that as a business? But who are we kidding, right? When we talk about entrepreneur, we are often bombarded with these wonderful tweets and Facebook messages and the constant flow of Google reminding us of the next venture capital firm, the next business that just raised so much of money, and wealth becoming this new virtue, almost. And it has become an equalizer or non-equalizer. It's almost become a component of our day-to-day lives. It used to be where, is that person a good person? Is that a bad person? It's evolved to be, is that person wealthy? Is this person not wealthy? So as much as we can run from it, we can't hide from the fact that the need to create wealth and sustain to be successful in business and make money is something that's driving us each and every day. So the need to make money, be successful, whether it's for the neighbor or just for yourself, whatever may be your driving force, for the society that you live in, your family, your parents, there could be many reasons, right? There is this inherent need to create wealth, and being an entrepreneur lets you dream bigger because it gives you the opportunity, at least the perceived notion of the opportunity, to be limitless in how much wealth that you can gain for yourself and for the future generations to come. So certainly, I wouldn't call it a greedy, but a very ambitious goal of wanting to create wealth, and there's nothing wrong with that. The last thing, and this is something that we are very passionate about, and we love working with our clients, and we love them for what they do, is if this is by choice, that you are a legal practitioner, then there's this added quotient of your ability, your skill set to help a community. As I said, if you can rise above the operational aspects of it, in terms of what you're able to accomplish for a community who is looking for legal help, who is looking for help, expertise, advice, and the right path to get them out of that legal tangle, if you will. That's an intangible quotient of happiness that we hear from our clients talk to us about. So sometimes being an entrepreneur in a line of business such as the legal business has an added quotient of an advantage of this intangible aspect of you being able to help a community as part of what you do. I do apologize. I think someone's looking to take control over the presenter role. Unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to allow you to do that. So you're just looking to join in to the webinar and not take control over the presenter role, please. Thank you. So in this line of legal business, here are some of the commonalities that we see across legal practitioners that we serve, those we've spoken to, clients, prospective clients, and others. And there could be many other such reasons. These are just some of the 4 that we believe are strong. All right. And this list is, again, just a quick excerpt of the risks that are involved of being an entrepreneur. As I mentioned earlier, the potential of a business failure, right? That's the worst case that can happen. Now, if you are able to be, if you have the right understanding, the right education, and if you're fully responsible for the success of your business, then despite all the other reasons that may happen in running your business, you as a solo practitioner, especially if you're a solo practitioner, you have no one else to blame, you should be willing to take full responsibility for the failure of your business. If you're just getting started in this entrepreneurial pursuit, then, of course, kindly do the homework of educating yourself of everything that you possibly can do to avoid the pitfalls and avoid the silly mistakes that we all make as we learn in this pursuit. Because you can always learn from someone else's mistake. That's the beauty of the internet, and one of the biggest advantages that I think of the internet is that you can always learn from someone else. And in the line of business, you can always learn from someone else's mistake. Okay? But being fully responsible for the failure right at the get-go gives you hopefully that level of maturity and the understanding that you're now going to take all the right steps to be successful and learn if you feel that dip so that you can pull yourself back up. Unexpected obstacles. This is a given. Right? This is very cliched, and I'm sure you can appreciate it. And with any business for that matter, whether you've just gotten started or you're continuing for the last 10, 12 years, you can certainly understand there are unexpected obstacles like anything else in life, something that you should be prepared for. But once again, this is, COVID is a great example of an unexpected obstacle that has hit all of our lives. The resilience of the humans in general, but also the resilience of business owners, is to find the courage, the encouragement within family and friends, and do what's necessary to move on with life, as life moves on. And find the necessary steps that you can now take to overcome these obstacles. The big, in quotes, the risk that we find, which is more practical. I mean, the potential business failure, that's kind of the worst case, last stage. Unexpected obstacles, it is what it is. We deal it as we cross the bridge. But financial insecurity is one of the pragmatic components and a risk involved with the mental state of an entrepreneur. When you have an employment, there is a certain stability, both perceived and in reality, of money coming into the bank to pay for your bills. But when you start a business, as much as I'm sure many of you in this webinar have already gone through and can appreciate, and hopefully share that with everyone else who's starting their businesses, there is this big sense of insecurity when it comes to finance. If you're getting started off with the loan, then that's the starting point. How do you pay the loan? Repay that loan. There's a lot of investment that goes behind starting a new business. Being a legal practitioner, in today's day and age, of course, some of the costs involved in starting a legal business are starting to reduce in the bucket from a capital expenditure at the big thousands of dollars to the more hundreds of dollars. Not every legal practitioner has a brick and mortar office, especially post-COVID. That's become a reality. You don't have to pay thousands of dollars for the softwares and tools that you need today because of the advent of the cloud technologies. It's cheaper and it's not that expensive anymore. It shouldn't be. And if you're looking at an expensive tool, you should question once or twice and explore further to look at your options. Okay? But despite all of these, there are certain must-have expenses that you incur as a legal practitioner. Right? You've got to pay your legal law society fees. There's the error and omissions fees. There are certain components of those expenses that you need to plan for, and you need to have a good plan of execution of how your revenue over a period of time is going to exceed those expenses. And those strategies then need to be broken down into practical steps that you have to take, the right tools that you invest in, the right strategies that you invest in. Long hours and hard work. And that's, once again, cliche. But one of the things that we started seeing is, as much as we appreciate hard work, there's this room that has been created for smart work. It kind of made itself into these cliched quotable quotes. Don't work hard, work smart, right? Easier said than done. But it is certainly something that legal practitioners are starting to do. They're starting to be more smart by educating themselves ahead of time. You participating in this webinar is that one small step towards that. Right? Hopefully, there's something that you can take away that leaves you a little bit more smarter than not having participated in this webinar, for example. And this is just not one webinar. I'm sure you've participated in other webinars. We're all consuming a lot of data, a lot of information. It's hopefully making us all smarter by the day. And using that smartness now into our day-to-day practical execution of these tasks and strategies to raise the revenue higher than the expense. And if that means we need to spend more time, then it is something that's necessary in this game of being an entrepreneur. And it's definitely true if you're just getting started, because there's just so much to learn on the ground. Despite as much of education as you may get prior to starting the business, the practical component of being an entrepreneur is that you do learn on the ground. So during that initial time, there's a lot of things to keep in mind. Bank accounts to set up. You need to understand how you want to set up the ownership of your business, all the investments that you have to make, right? Strategies that to execute. So of course, it can be really heavy on your mind. And as you evolve, understand the lay of the land, you have the right individuals and tools that can hopefully help alleviate some of those pain points so that you can continue to focus and race about the operational aspects. All right. I love this particular picture. It really talks about the power of going solo, right? Just lifting all that weight all by yourself. And I would say several months back when we ran this webinar, we even had a survey as to what people think. Do you think that this individual is on the rise to lifting this heavy weight, or is on his way down? And believe it or not, we had over 95% of those who responded to the survey saying that he's on his way up. And that's another important quotient of an entrepreneur, is faith and belief. Not just blindfolded faith, it's the belief in yourself, belief in your education, the belief in the passion that you have, that despite the odds, that your day is going to come. As entrepreneurs, that's one of the thriving factors that keeps us alive. Really, sometimes we think, why do I have this thing in me that wants me to continue and move forward? It's this faith, it's the positivity that makes us wake up every day and do the same things that we do to be successful. Okay? Now that you kind of have an understanding at a very, very high level, broad level understanding of being an entrepreneur, Maybe you're rethinking yourself. We find a lot of students who are in colleges and universities participate in these webinars. And for those who have joined us today, this slide is going to be recorded and available to you. More than happy to review it on our YouTube channel. But we first get started with setting up your business. It's pretty much the first step. Now, there are many definitions that I can probably give to setting up your business in today's day and context. Because you may have already set up your business a certain way, and now you certainly need to rethink those strategies of setting up your business for the new norm, for the new post-COVID world that we're all in. Maybe certain aspects of the setting up is a one-time process, and we, of course, don't have to necessarily rethink it. There could possibly be other aspects of setting and running strategies involved of running that business that may need some rethinking if you haven't already done that, right? So if you're just getting started, as I mentioned earlier, there's a business structure that is important for you to review. Whether you talk to your friends, family members who've done this, other legal practitioners in the community who can help. That's something that I find there's a certain very strong sisterhood, brotherhood in this legal community of people being willing to help each other, which is pretty cool. But yeah, understanding your business structure. Do you want to be a solo practitioner? Is this a partnership? Is this an incorporation? How much of money is being brought into this business? These are critical because this goes back into your practice management, your legal accounting aspect, because this comes down to how you're going to be drawing money out of the business. How are you going to pay yourself? That's something that you really want to ask right at the get-go. Are you going to be writing yourself a salary every month? Or are you going to just draw a certain amount every month? All of this comes down because now that you're running a business, there are powers and there are bodies that now govern how you run this business, right? When you're an employee, it's a pay stub. You pretty much do your personal income tax once a year and you have an accountant who helps you with that. It's pretty much all we're used to. But now that you're running a business, there's this added important aspect that you need to now file your business taxes. That's why I say, again, it comes down to your structure of how you have it. A good accountant, if you don't have one, is someone that you should certainly explore getting the expertise and advice from. Bank accounts. Exploring the right options. Of course, we're in Canada. Many of the top financial institutions, as well as credit unions, give you all the flexibilities that you need as a modern consumer of the financial institution, the client of that bank. As a legal practitioner, of course, you have a few nuances. And when you set up these bank accounts, you want to understand, are you going to have a trust account? Are you going to actually have a trust account as part of your financial vehicle? Or if it's just going to be a general account or an operating account, then having that clarity. We highly recommend that if you can afford to, maybe have multiple credit cards, one for disbursements and one for your office expenses. And again, everything in lieu of your business. Sometimes having these two separate cards reduces the amount of reconciliation that goes into understanding where the money went. If you are setting up a trust account with the bank, you may want to revisit, talk to them, and emphasize that all of your fees, anything that bank charges that need to be charged are not charged against the trust and not credited from the trust, but credited or taken away from your general account. Little nuances to how you set up this account. Because if that's not done, then you will end up with a bank error on your first one's reconciliation. You'll end up catching it anyways, but if you can learn from what others have, made mistakes from. It's good for you. Infrastructure. So that's something that's evolved. When I ran this webinar, maybe even 2 years back, I was talking about the evolution of workspace, of how legal practitioners are now starting to pull in money to buy a brick and mortar office. It's not necessary that you own the building or you rent the building all by yourself. There's co-sharing workspaces. That was the big statement that I made a couple of years back. Post-COVID, again, we may still go back to that, and it still may be the reality. But one of the fun new things that we have found out from our customers is many of our clients, interestingly enough, have now evolved into this home office situation. Okay? And if they have to meet the client, then you certainly have the Reguses of the world and the WeWork spaces of the world where you can actually rent a boardroom for a couple of hours. Right? If you're a corporate lawyer and you're meeting this big client for a meeting, and you don't want to invite them necessarily to your home office, you don't want to meet them at a Starbucks, you want to be at a professional setup with the projector and everything else, you don't need to have the investment and all of that in the same building anymore. You can rethink the investment that goes into your infrastructure. So physical space is something that is not a mandatory need for running a legal business anymore. Okay? But what's still important are all the tools and technologies that you need to execute, to have documents ready, to be able to sign them, print them, fax them, email them, whatever is necessary based on the type of business that you're in, to be that modern legal practitioner who can transfer all of those wonderful benefits of being a modern practitioner back to your clients. That's the important thing. The value addition that you're able to provide your client by being the modern tech-front legal practitioner. So, of course, phone system, whether that's a RingCentral or a Wanted or any voice over IP phones that gives you access to your phones, your voice messages from wherever, or if it's just your mobile phone, then whoever you're with, TELUS, Rogers, Bell, any other provider that you're with. Sometimes it helps to have your own phone for business alone, but we often find that it's a mix of personal and business. But we recommend that if you necessarily can, keep them separate. Everyone needs email today, a very proven, trusted method of communication. And as we evolve this infrastructure, and probably this slide share should evolve too, but what we're starting to see is WhatsApp for Business. That's the new kid in the block. So legal practitioners, of course, you should be aware of, once again, the risk and reward of any communication channel. Right? So being completely thoroughly understanding of the risks and rewards, just like emails have. You need to understand the newer tools that are out there that allow you for faster, quicker correspondences. So WhatsApp is becoming one of those that allows you to create a WhatsApp for Business number, use it across business cards, use it across your Google, Facebook, LinkedIn advertisements, making it faster and easier for people to connect. Calendar systems have become a very important thing post-COVID. Tools such as Calendly, or even exposing your Gmail or your Microsoft Outlook calendar, making it easier for your clients to book that 15, 30-minute initial consultation call. Again, gives that entire web presence of your website a nice, modern, professional touch. And we move into websites. As part of one of the webinars that I conducted maybe a few weeks back. It was called the Branding CX, BX, UX, the whole experience that you're able to provide. Website and a social presence is a very important branding component of one of the experiences you as a business should think about strategically to give your clients. Starting with the web presence, so having a very professionally built website that's very clear, concise, easy to view both on a laptop, but most importantly, make it mobile friendly so that someone can actually view it on their mobile phone. So if there's a contact us page that requires them to fill out information, if you're not rethinking your current website, if it's not mobile friendly, please go back to look at those websites and ensure they're mobile friendly. Because your consumers are getting, their channel of correspondence is more getting into the smaller form factors by the day. Social presence. We did have a lot of clients who initially were just focused on a single channel. They would just be on Facebook. They would be just on a certain other social media channel. But what we find now is it does not hurt to have a multi-pronged approach. Have social presences across at least the top 5 social media platforms. And you can pick and choose the ones that are best suited based on your areas of expertise and the types of clients that you're looking to attract. Right? Because when generating an advertisement in that platform, it should make sense, financial sense, so that you're actually getting leads for the investment that you're making in those platforms. Right? So if you've done all this, fantastic. Cloud communication tools. This is a newer component of setting up your business. So do you have a Zoom business account for your legal business, or a WebEx, or a Join Me, like what we're doing right now, or Microsoft Teams? I'm starting to see a lot of people, of course, get into Zoom, into Teams. You'd be surprised that Google now is putting a lot of investment in their Google Meet platform, which comes as part of your G Suite. So if you actually purchase either the Google side of the house or the Microsoft side of the house, you do have options that are provided by both those players that's built right into your other tools that they provide already. So setting up calendars, setting up a Google Meet invite automatically as part of that calendar is just so fast and easy. Or if you're using Zoom, because you're used to it, you're consuming it a lot, then so be it. You find now fast, easy ways to integrate it. And if someone goes onto your website, books that 15, 20-minute Calendly appointment, then you can automatically send them an email that's set up through that tool that gives you the link to the Zoom WebEx team link so that you can actually put a face to the whole conversation. Gives more credibility. Marketing and lead generation. So if you're having a single prong approach, if you're just going after print media, or if you're just going after radio, or if you're just doing Facebook ads, this is a great way to rethink that entire marketing and lead generation campaign. So having a digital influence in your marketing and lead generation strategy is critical. And that's the channel that most of your clients are going to start to explore. That's where they're at. Whether that's, as I mentioned earlier, advertisements, whether that's email, exploring the right tools to capture the audiences through these channels, very important. Then comes to a slightly more encompassing aspect of your business. You've done all the right things, the website presence, marketed it, and now people start to engage with you. So you certainly need the practice management. the legal accounting. So in Canada, being a legal practitioner in Canada, all the provinces most definitely regulate in their own way law society compliances and the need for you to adhere to those compliances. And there are audit checks, especially if you're just getting started. For example, in the province of Ontario, in the first 12 to 18 months of you having started a new legal practice, you are most certain to have an audit so that they can review how you've gone about maintaining your books. So legal accounting is a very integral and a must-have tool in your arsenal. That's going to give you a peace of mind as you continue to build on top of this business. It becomes really the foundation of truth, the foundation of the fact, because every time you reconcile your business, it adds to the truth. It gives you the real numbers of your profit and loss, makes it faster and easier for you to recognize the actual numbers that you're paying taxes against. So it's overwhelming, and as non-fancy as the whole accounting aspect of our businesses are, it's a must-have for a legal practitioner. If it's not you who's running that legal accounting software, someone else must be running it on your behalf, right? Or if you're doing this manually, then you certainly need to have the right process to stick to the guidelines provided by the law societies. But that's where I come back to talk to you about. Understand your business. If you don't have so many files, you don't find the need, and it does not warrant that investment, that you don't have to make that investment. Okay? From a practice management standpoint, this is where making it easy for you to capture your time so that can translate into revenue, being able to capture the expenses so that that translates in your P&L, making it easier now to capture payments. So how easy is it to do business with your firm comes down to this post-COVID ecosystem where legal practitioners have started, solo practitioners especially, have made it easy for clients to pay, let's say, using a credit card, direct transfer, right? So not just the check payments, making it faster and easier, not only for yourself, but for your clients to do business with you. Other aspects, so services. So these are all the tools. Then we talk about services. Now for marketing, if you have the money for it, you can certainly invest in getting the right advice by hiring digital marketing agencies. Not all of them are that expensive as we've come to hear. So that's something you can certainly explore. Bookkeeping and accounting services. You're like, I don't want to deal with all of this. I'd rather pay someone who can manage it. And then you need to do further homework, to do a lot of research, a lot of reference checks to find the right candidate who can help you. Who can help you stay compliant, must have, who can help you very much be on top of your own numbers. So outsource the work, but do not outsource and forget all the data that, because this is your business's data. So you cannot be oblivion to the whole aspect of accounting. You can get help so that you don't have to do it, but you still must be aware and very much sharp about the numbers. Training and learning, critical to every entrepreneur. There's, as I mentioned, master classes, TED Talks, YouTube videos, paid for, free, seminars, webinars, whatever they may be. You need to invest in them so that you're getting smarter by the day. Networking, that's a big part of that business growth. Is ensuring that you're aligned with colleagues, with others in the business. Because one of the things in the legal practitioner's world is a lot of leads, especially early on, comes from references. So building a strong network within your friends, family, within your colleagues, very critical because you don't know where that initial prospective lead may come from. So now that we've looked at some of the processes, right from setting up the business structure, of course, you go into your provincial jurisdictional websites to create that business. Right? You can do a name search for your business because that can be a website name as well. For example, if you're going to call yourself PeelRegionCorporateLawyers.com, if you're going to register yourself under that name or your own name, it's important that you register your business, have a really nice branded website with a web URL that's meaningful, that you can share with prospective clients. So right from the business structure to the point where you're growing your business through a network, and here are all the things that you need to think about. Tools to explore. So for each of these aspects, we wanted to present you with a few options. Now, there's a huge laundry list when you look at all of these different functional areas, what things that you need to take care of in your business. There are many tools, especially in today's day and age. There's at least half a dozen tools for you to explore. For small business owners, if you're just getting started, Canada.ca is a starting point for you to explore. There are government grants. There are many financial vehicles that you can take advantage of for initial investments. There are, of course, third-party investment banks. There are investors who may be willing to help if you have a nice business plan of how you want to execute a legal firm. In Canada, of course, top banks and financial institutions and credit unions to explore, depending on your situation. But certainly consider banks that can allow you the ability to do mostly electronic, or has electronic as very much as part of their service offering, because you're going to need that. Then we look at email. If you haven't already done one, you have the options of the G Suite, Microsoft, and from a document management perspective, if you don't have any of these, there's Adobe for all of your forms, all of your documents, as well as for your electronic signatures. If you're looking to build your own website, which is a possibility, because if money is tight and you can't afford tons of dollars to pay a third-party company to build a website, you have tools such as Wix. It's pretty much, in fact, Wix today has a template for legal practitioners. It was something that they didn't have even a year back. So they're starting to add to those templates. So it's just pretty much click and finish to build these sites. If you're willing to just put a little bit more time of going into YouTube to review, WordPress is another great option for you to build websites on. But if you are looking to be that modern practitioner, investigate, research, and what it would take to add a little chatbot onto the website. So don't make it just a regular website. Let's call it the post-COVID website, having a chatbot. So a chatbot is just making it easy, fast for folks coming onto your website to ask you frequently asked questions or be able to reach you. And these modern chatbots connect with your phones. So if anytime someone inquires about, let's say, your small claims service offering or your criminal service offering, they can write right on the chatbot. It becomes very mobile friendly, and it comes right onto your mobile phone as a text saying, here's John Doe, just sent you an information on chatbot, wanting to set up a call, and here's the phone number, right? Making it easier for you to capture those leads in the moment, because you don't want that moment to pass for a prospective client reaching out to you for your service. You have Vistaprints and other websites online that allow you for all your printing needs. You could go to your local stores that help you with that. Email marketing, we at uLaw utilize HubSpot as a tool that allows automate certain aspects of the marketing messages that we want to send out. But if you're in Canada, then you should most certainly be aware of the anti-spam law. So you certainly should have the right to send these emails and use these email marketing tools the right way. A more cost-effective entry point option would certainly be MailChimp that allows you to create templates. If both of these don't work, you can even create email templates right on your Gmail to send out preset text to customers. Phone systems and systems that integrate, collaborate, extend the capabilities of these voice or IP phones. So systems such as Quorum, which is a Canadian company that if someone were to leave you a voice message, it transcribes that message and sends it to you as text. It's pretty cool. Now, we at uLaw are looking to integrate or have halfway done integration where if anything done on the phone, if you've had a phone conversation, as you know in uLaw, if you've done it through the phone, you can docket it as a TNM. But with the Quorum integration, you can actually docket it with the phone conversation as part of that practice management toolkit. So there's some great opportunities for integrated systems to make that centrifugal product that much more meaningful. Tools, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, you know them all. Instagram is becoming another major social media platform, even for legal practitioners. So building your own followers on these social media platforms is not going to hurt you at all. Online payments. If you haven't already started looking at these things, please do explore the ability to provide your end customer with faster, easier electronic modes of payments. Talk to your local financial institution if they offer that. Of course, everyone's heard of Moneris. There's Nuvei or Pivotal Payments, as they used to call them earlier. There are other payment gateways. TD Canada Trust offers for legal practitioners, I know for a fact that they offer payments that can come right onto your trust account as well. So if someone was paying you a retainer less than $7,500, they could actually pay, I don't know why I said that, but that's only for cash. But let's say they're paying you a retainer. They can actually transact that through the credit card. So you just send them an electronic retainer letter, they sign it, bottom of that agreement, there could be a link that sends them to a secure place where they can make the payment through a credit card. And it gets directly deposited into your trust account. And your bank, of course, if set up right, would automatically take away the fees from your general account. Or the payment gateways, in fact, can do that as well. They can take the fees out of your general account. In fact, in uLaw, we have that set up automatically done. Cloud-based legal accounting practice management tools such as uLaw. There are many tools out there for legal accounting practice management cloud. If you just type in the word cloud-based legal accounting and practice management in Google, you'll pretty much get that list. Cloud storage, I want to talk about, of course, the top two, Google Drive, OneDrive, both from Google and Microsoft. Then you certainly have Sync. So you should certainly explore the use of Sync. This is a Canadian company that allows you to store data, and the data is very much stored in Canadian soil. It's a pretty cool product. Allows you to store cloud storage online. And of course, electronic signatures, like how real estate agents have made it easy for us to sign real estate documents right from your mobile phone. Legal practitioners can make signatures that you need from your clients. Let's say retainer or agreement letter, pop-up retainers, whatever it may be where you need signatures. They can make it easy with electronic signatures built in. whether it's you signing it or expecting your clients to sign and send it back to you. Another avenue for you to make it more modern, sleek, and easy to do business with. And we did speak about the top communication tools such as Zoom, Teams, JoinMe, and WebEx. Okay, with just another minute remaining, I'll draw your attention, of course, to the last aspect of that toolkit that you want to explore. The legal accounting practice management tools bring efficiencies, automation, bring compliance, because that's something that you're going to be audited on. The Law Society is not going to audit you on how beautiful your website looks or how nice your practice management tool looks. They're pretty much going to audit you on how well your books are maintained and how you present those documents in a compliant format that they expect it in. Right? So that's the bottom line of legal accounting, and that's the bottom line that you should also be addressing. And legal accounting in combination with practice management, of course, gives you this wonderful opportunity to drive analytics, because it captures your revenue generation. Practice management tools allow you to docket, disperse, get the retainers. But once the retainer is in, the legal accounting kicks in, because there's compliance aspects to it. And as you generate invoices from practice management tools, accounting kicks in, or legal accounting kicks in if you're doing trust transfers. So it's very critical that today that you're not just exploring and looking at a practice management software alone and wanting to do other things manually. You may be able to save time and money if you can find a tool such as uLaw that allows you to combine these two. Okay. And that's pretty much it right at the top of the hour. I know it just went another minute past, but hopefully this past 1 hour of my monologue, and I do apologize for that, was something meaningful, your time well spent, and informational to a point where there was something for you to take away from the webinar session. So the title for today's webinar, and it's being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel, is Unlocking the Power of Solo, or Solo Power, where we essentially spoke about being an entrepreneur, the risks, rewards, and the wonderful life that it is, and tips, techniques, tools that you should keep in mind as you navigate through this journey of being an entrepreneur in the legal industry. Okay? If you have any further questions, because time is limited in these webinars, please do email us at support@uLawPractice.com. If you don't know who we are a Canadian company based in Ottawa. We've been serving Canadian legal practitioners over 12 years, or close to 12 years. Legal accounting and practice management is what we do best, and we look forward to hearing from you. With that, I will wrap up today's webinar. If there are any questions, I will stay on this session for another 5 minutes. Thank you so much.